Hey friends, this is the Mrs. Wolfie from our half-acre homestead, and it's soap making time again. Crock-pot soap. Here is what you're going to need. You're going to need lye crystals. You're going to need a hand blender, a crock pot, 2 pounds of lard, 4 ounces of your favorite scent. I'm using white cedar 100% pure essential oil. You need vinegar in case you splash yourself with lye, and you need a scale and gloves. Okay, let's get started. All right, first things first, I write my recipe down so that I don't forget. And I have a Kleenex box that's lined with parchment. You might want something a little sturdier, but that's what I'm using. You should always wear protective gear. I'm wearing my glasses and I'm wearing my gloves. But if you somehow get splashed with lye, you will use the vinegar to neutralize it and stop it from burning you after the fact. Okay, so here we go. We got our scale on. And I have weighed this. I'm weighing this. It's 9.6 ounces. I'm going to tare it or zero it off. And this is already 1 pound of lard. It's going directly into the crock pot. This is the lard from our last pig. I've been saving it in the fridge in the pantry to make soap. And I still have more. Oh, here it's all coming out. There we go. There's 1 pound. And while I'm measuring, I'm going to get this crock pot on high to get this melting. And now we need another pound. So I'm just going to put this back on, and this is 12.5 ounces, 16 ounces in a pound. I honestly think if these jars had been filled right to the rim, they would have been a pound apiece. We're pretty close. 14.9, 1 pound, 1 ounce, good enough. So this is also going into the crock pot. I've got my crock pot on high. Now this is just a really basic bar soap. I mean, there's fancier recipes and stuff like that, but Howie and I aren't fancy folks. We just like a plain old bar of soap. So there we go. There's our 2 pounds of lard in the crock pot. Get that melting. Now we're going to measure out our water. We want 10 ounces of water. So we're going to tare that. And we're going to pour water in here. Exactly 10 ounces. Now we're going to measure out, tear this off, and we're going to measure out 4.4 ounces of lye. This used to be $27 and then the pandemic hit. Now it's $42. All right, so we want 4.4 ounces of crystallized lye. There it is, 4.4 ounces. All righty. Oh yeah, let's put this away back in the fridge for another soap making day. All right, we're done with the lye, we're done with the lard. So now, very carefully, always pour the water or the lye into the water, not the water into the lye. You don't want to splash. So we're just going to very carefully pour our now stand back. You don't want to be breathing this stuff. All right, it does give off a fume. Here we go. We're just going to stir this. It gets quite hot. That's why I have my wood cutting board and a piece of parchment on it. And we're just going to stir this until the lye is dissolved and the water is somewhat clear. And we'll be back when the lard's melted. Okay, now that our lard is completely, well, almost completely melted. I got one little piece in there, and if I just stir it, it'll melt up nicely. Now, our dissolved lye, we're going to very carefully pour this in. We're going to turn this down to low. I'm going to pour our lye in here. And now we're going to put this on low, and we're just going to start mixing this with the hand blender until it comes to trace. Trace means that you're going to trace means when you run this through it, it leaves a path. It's going to start to look a bit like pudding. Try not to splash yourself. You want to do this a little bit longer. 3 to 5 minutes until it comes to a thin pudding consistency, or you can get a trace from it. I went out today and I pruned back zucchini and pruned down my tomato plants. There's been so little sun and so many clouds, they're reaching for sun. Now let's have a look. That's almost, see how when you run this through it, let's do it with this. When you run this through it and it kind of leaves a trail behind, that's trace. All right, now we're just going to put this on low, and we're going to leave this to cook for an hour. We're going to put our timer on for 1 hour. All right, we'll be back when that's done. Okay, our timer is about to go off. So it's been an hour, and here we go. So we're just gonna, I don't know why that's all white in the center like that. And now I'm gonna shut the crock pot off, and I'm gonna add half of this bottle, about half of this bottle of white cedar essential oil in here. It's about 2 ounces. We're just going to stir that. Oh, it smells lovely and woodsy. I don't know why that white center was the way it was. Maybe I should have covered my crock like I do when I'm cooking. Wow, that white cedar is strong. It's going to make some nice scented soap. I'm not adding any color. There's no need. Packing it in my mold here. Oops. Spit some on the stove. Well, that's okay because it's soap. Now, the beautiful thing about hot process crockpot soap is that as soon as it hardens and cools, it's ready to use. There is no 6 to 8 week curing process. It's probably not going to be beautiful and smooth. This is just a tissue box that I've lined with parchment. And you know what? It does the job, right? So, we're just going to let this cool. And then we'll cut it up. See what I mean? It's just soap. You put that in the sink and it's going to wash up with hot water. It's going to wash up beautiful. Alrighty. It is now almost 10 o'clock at night. And this has cooled down. You can smooth that out if you want. This is still warm on the bottom. You can smooth the top. I wish you could smell this. It's such a clean smell, is the smell of cedar. And we're going to put it on this rack over here. I honestly wish you guys, the first bar is going to be the roughest. Now remember, hot process soap is ready to use as soon as it's cooled. And next week, or later this week, or whatever, I'm going to make another batch of a different kind of soap. But Howie walked in and said, "Oh, that smells nice." Because it is a very clean scent. Now, Just because it's ready to use doesn't mean I will use it right away. What it means is I'm going to let it get hard. I'm going to put these little soap scrapings in my soap bottle in the bathroom. I keep a pump bottle in my bathroom, and I put bits of soap that are too small to do anything with in there, and then I put water in it. And there it is. What do we got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 bars of soap. Some of them are quite big and will probably be cut in half, but these will be allowed to cool. Well, they're cool, but they'll be allowed to harden. Okay? I've had a busy day. I've made soap. I've picked black currants. I pruned my zucchinis and my tomatoes. It's been a busy day. This is the Mrs. Fulfy from our half-acre homestead saying, got lye, got lard, you got soap. Mwah. Take care, God bless.